Everyone, and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda, and in today's video we're going to be doing some autumn plaid nail art. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. This set was a lot of fun to do because we're going to be doing some ombres, some foils, some marbles, and finishing off with some crystals. To start off with though, we do need our base colours. So here I'm going to be using tea rose, ivory, also going to be using Ivy Forest and Mocha. We're actually going to be doing an ombre with the Mocha, so we're not going to do a full nail of that. Now, of course, if you was doing this set on yourself or a client, you would need to come in and do all of your prep and your base coat to begin with. But because we're working on display tips, I'm going to come straight in with my colour coats. So on the thumbnail, I went for ivory because I'm going to be using crystals on this nail, and I opted to use the emerald green crystals, and I thought they looked absolutely beautiful against the ivory background. On the pointer and the middle finger, we're going to come in and do a base of tea rose. On the pointer finger, you're not actually going to see any of the tea rose because we're going to be doing a full marble nail. But I wanted to make sure I had a nice base color down because when I was doing the bases, I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to do a full marble. So I thought I might just do like a marble coming across the nail. So I wanted to make sure I had a nice base colour down. If I knew I was doing a full marble, I probably would have only done the one colour of the tea rose because you're not going to necessarily be seeing it. Then we're going to be doing a French on the middle finger. On the ring finger is what we're doing our ombre on, which we're going to jump to now. And then on the little finger, you see I did my first coat of Ivy Forest. So on to the ombre, I'm going to be coming in with a tea rose down at the cuticle area. And I'm taking that roughly roughly halfway to 3/4 of the way down the nail. And then we're going to fill in the tip of the nail with the Mocha. And then as you see there, I showed you guys, I'm going to be using the Kiki London Ombre Brush to create that beautiful fade. The ombre brush makes ombres so easy, so it's definitely a must-have if you are struggling with any kind of ombre nail art. So what I like to do is I come in with my ombre brush and I start off by blending the center where those two colors meet. So you want to basically fade out that harsh line where the two colors meet. Then once you've got that shade in the middle, so it's like the transitional color between the tea rose and the Mocha, you're going to blend that down into the tea rose, clean off your brush, and then blend it up into the Mocha. Anytime you see my brush going out of shot, I'm just giving it a wipe on a Kiki London alcohol wipe just to make sure I remove any color from my brush, because you don't want to take one color too much into the other color. So I do like to clean off my brush a lot when I'm doing any kind of ombre design. You will see I come in a few times just to perfect it. You don't always get a perfect blend on your first coat of colour, so don't stress too much if your first coat isn't looking perfect. Now we've got all the first coats done, I've popped them into cure, and we're going to repeat the same steps on the second coat of colour. So here you can see the ivory is very, very pigmented. So depending on what you're doing, you may get away with only using one coat of this. I know when I've used this over the rubber colour bases on certain colours, I only end up needing one coat because it's a very pigmented colour. I did do 2 coats here because 2 coats is recommended, and we are also working over clear tips. So you haven't got no natural base nail colour showing through. Then we're going to move on and apply our second coats of tea rose. Then I'm going to come in and apply the second coat of Ivy Forest, and then just like before, we'll then jump to doing the ombre. If I was doing this set on a client, I would probably cure all of my plain colour nails first, just so I don't smudge them when I'm working on the ombre. But because we're working on display tips, I was able to move the ombre out of the way. But I know that it's very, very easy to smudge your gel polish. So when you are working on a client, if you're not doing a plain colour, I like to get all the plain colour nails done first, cure them, and then work on the other nails. So we're going to come back in to that ombre nail and do the second coat, and this is where you can really perfect your blend. So again, same as before, I'm starting off by taking that tea rose roughly halfway to 3/4 of the way down the nail, and then we're going to come in and apply the Mocha. Now the Mocha is a little bit more pigmented because it's a darker colour than the tea rose, so I make sure you are only applying this thinly. And then we're going to come in and blend, blend, blend. So starting off by blending out the center line where those two colors meet. As you can see, I'm just making sure I take it into that tea rose a little bit because I want that lighter transitional shade to show through. Then I'm going to clean off my brush and then I'm going to blend the tea rose into that transitional shade, just gently going backwards and forwards with my ombre brush. The video is sped up so it looks quite vigorous, but I'm actually going nice and gently and I'm stopping every couple of seconds to have a look at how that blend is going. And then we're going to blend the transitional shade into the Mocha, and I really loved how this ombre looked. Once you are happy with how your ombre looks, you want to just leave it for a few seconds to settle before you pop it into cure. This helps the gel polish self-level and it evens out some of the brush strokes that you might have put in with your brush. So just wait a couple of seconds, it will self-level and come together, and then you can pop that into cure. If you do still have any brush strokes remaining, once you come in and top coat, you won't see them anyway. So here's what our nails look like now we have got all of our bases done. We're ready to come in and apply our foils next. So for the foils, I'm going to be using the Abstract Plaid box of foils. And as you can see, it has lots of different colour foils here and lots of different designs. I decided to go for this green one because I wanted to keep with a bit of an autumn theme because I don't feel ready to go full on Christmas nails just yet. Then to apply your foils, you are going to need the Kiki London foil gel. And I also recommend using the Kiki London silicone tool because this really helps get out any creases. So on the Ivy Forest now, we're going to be doing a full foil nail. So I'm going to apply my foil gel to the entire nail. I've popped down the 2 coats of Ivory Forest just because you want to have a similar colour base to your foil. This just means if there are any imperfections when you apply your foil, they're not going to show through. And by using a similar colour base, it really helps your foil pop as well. If you didn't have Ivy Forest, and you wanted to use this particular foil, you could even pop black or any other darker colour down underneath. Once you have cured your foil gel, we're going to place down that foil and we're going to start pressing and rubbing the foil into that tacky foil gel. So I like to use a combination of the silicone tool and my thumb and fingers. It is always harder to apply these foils on display tips than it is a real person, just because the display tips tend to fall off the stand. Once I feel as though I've sufficiently rubbed and pressed that foil, especially when you're doing a full foil now, you want to make sure you're really rubbing it down. I'm then going to slowly start peeling that foil back. And the reason I peel it back slowly is because if, like here, there's any areas that haven't transferred, you can lay it back down. And I was really impressed with how well this foil transferred. So we're then going to move on to the middle nail because we're going to be using the same foil on this nail as well. But on this nail, I wanted to do a French tip. So I'm going to take my Ivy Forest again and we're going to be using that as a base for our foil design. And I'm going to take the Kiki London French brush because this brush makes French a whole lot easier. So you want to load it up with a generous amount of gel polish, really work it between the bristles, and then I hold the brush parallel to the nail, keeping it nice and flat, and I kind of just press down and pull. This way you get a nice, neat C curve for your French nail and you get good distribution of the gel polish as well. Then I like to just sometimes come in with the ends of the brush and bring those wings down a little bit more, especially when working on longer nails. You might find you don't necessarily have to do this on natural length nails. And then I'm just touching up the colour a little bit. I'm only going to do 1 coat of this because I don't think 2 coats was necessary for just a base as the foils. So here I'm just perfecting the French, and whilst trying to perfect it, I did end up messing it up a little bit, but that's okay because we can clean it up. So to clean up the French, I'm going to take my angled nail art brush, a little bit of alcohol, and just wipe off any areas where it looks a little bit messy so that we've got a nice crisp French. Then once you're happy with your gel polish French application, you're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then we're going to repeat that step but with the foil gel because I want to apply the foils wherever I've applied the Ivy Forest. So I've cleaned off my French brush and then I've popped some foil gel down onto my palette, and then I'm basically doing exactly the same as before but with my foil gel. Then we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then again, we're going to start rubbing down our foil. So I'm focusing this foil just on the area where we've applied the foil gel. So I'm trying to make sure that that's why I'm focusing all my attention when it comes to rubbing that foil. I do really like using the silicone tool for getting out any creases, because I find you can apply good pressure with it and it really evens out any creases. Now you want to make sure that you're getting along the tips of the nails, because this can be where it's a little bit trickier to apply your foils. And then same as before, don't try not to anyway, just pull your foil off. You want to peel it back slowly, so that if any areas haven't transferred, then you're able to place it back down. I had a little gap here that hadn't transferred at the tip of the nail, so I'm going to try and match that up, which is a little bit harder to do. So that's why it's easier if you just peel back slowly. And then as you can see here, I did have some little areas along the edges where I wasn't 100% happy with the foil coverage. So I'm going to come in and just press a little bit more of that foil on, just so that there's a nice amount of foil going down into those wings of the nail and it doesn't look a little bit odd. Then a little bit of my foil had stuck to that natural nail bed area. So taking some acetone on my nail art brush, sorry, not acetone, taking some alcohol on my angled nail art brush, I'm just going to clean that off. And then I was really happy with how this foiled French looked. It's one of my favourite things to do with foils, because I think they look quite unique compared to a plain French. On to the pointer finger, we're going to be coming in and doing a marble. Because I'd used a couple of different colours in this set that I felt as though all worked nicely together, I wanted to combine them into a marble. And at this point is where I decided I wanted to do a full marble design. So I'm going to come in and apply a full layer of my blooming gel. So I'm making sure it covers the entire nail. And then you're going to leave that wet. So don't pop your blooming gel in to cure. Then I'm going to take the Ivy Forest, Ivory, Mocha, and then I do add in a little bit of champagne spritz glitter as well, just because I want to have a hint of glitter running through the design. Now for this particular marble, I kind of wanted to try and design a little bit of a different effect. So rather than marbling it my usual way where I go up and down, I kind of just went in a different pattern, just because I didn't want the marble to look the same as lots of other marbles I've done. And this is one of the great things about marbles. You can play around with how you're applying your gel polish to create different marble effects. So you can see here, I kind of just sort of swirled around in different ways. And then I ended up coming in with a little bit more of the Ivy Forest, because I wanted that to come in the Mocha a little bit more. So it looked a little bit crazy on my palette, but I really loved how the effect looked on the nail, because it looked different to other marbles I've done recently. So once you are happy with the marble design on your palette, taking my round nail art brush, I'm going to gently ease that into the blooming gel. So what I'm basically doing is kind of just floating it into the blooming gel. The blooming gel is going to grab hold of the gel polish and help pull it off your nail art brush. So that's why it's great to have the layer of blooming gel down as well. Even though we're not necessarily going to be letting this marble bloom too much, they're having the blooming gel layered down just help pull it off your brush. And it also does allow the gel to bloom a little bit and marble a little bit more on the nail. Then I'm just coming in on any areas where I can still see that tea rose and filling them in with colour, or sorry, with the marble, because I wanted it to be full coverage. And I really loved the effect. It looked a little bit messy and crazy, but I really loved it. So let me know what you think of this marble in the comments below. Once we had cured that for 30 seconds, this is the finished result. It does only have a hint of glitter running through it, because I didn't add too much glitter. If you wanted to have more glitter, then just add more glitter when you're applying your gel polish on your palette. I only wanted a hint of glitter because we've not got any other glitter going on in this set. Then we're going to move on to the ombre now. I'm going to be applying a hint of foils to this now, and I only wanted them to stick in certain areas. So I'm going to come in, apply a layer of my matte top coat, and this is what the ombre looks like matte. How gorgeous is that? Then I'm going to take my foil gel and I'm going to pop a tiny bit of it on my brush, and then I'm going to load up my ombre brush, and I kind of just want to create some messy sort of lines, broken abstract effect going across the nail. So I'm just using a tiny amount of foil gel on my brush and roughly applying it in both the areas where we've got the Mocha and the tea rose. Then we're going to pop that into cure for 30 seconds. And then on this now, I'm going to be using the classic metallic foils. These are my go-to foils. I love, love, love these. If you are a beginner as well to foils, I would highly recommend checking out these ones because they are the easiest foils to apply. All I'm simply going to do is press them down onto those areas where I've applied the foil gel. And as you can see, because we matte top coated, it is only going to stick to where we've applied the foils. And I really loved the effect that how it turned out. Then we're going to move on to the thumbnail, which is the nail we're going to be applying our crystals to. So to apply all of my crystals, I always use the Kiki London No Wipe Rubber Top Coat. So you're going to apply a layer of this to the entire nail. I like to apply it to the entire nail, even though we're not applying crystals to the entire nail, because this way you get a nice even surface. Then again, we're going to be leaving that wet and applying our crystals down into the wet top coat. So here I have the emerald green crystals. Just how beautiful are these? I love these ones for Christmas nails as well as autumn nails as well, because they are a very Christmassy green. To apply my crystals, I'm going to be using the dotting/gem tool. So one end's a dotting tool and one end's a waxy crystal tool. You will see that I use both ends for applying my crystals. So I like to use the waxy end to pick up my crystals and then the dotting tool end just to help nudge them around into place. And then on this nail, we're going to be doing kind of like a messy crystal swoosh going across the nail because I wanted to keep it quite simple. I don't do too many crystal designs. It's something I definitely need to do more of. But I love how these looked because they're quite dark against that light coloured base. And I wanted to use a mix of sizes as well. So I'm just picking up some larger crystals, some smaller crystals, and playing around with them in that wet top coat until I'm happy with how they look. This is one of the reasons why I love applying them with the No Wipe Rubber Top Coat, because you're able to move those crystals around as much as you like until you are happy with the design. And then when you're happy with how they're placed, that's when you're going to pop them in to cure. So you will see soon, I move them around a fair bit just because I was kind of feeling that one side of my swoosh was looking really neat and tidy and the other was looking a bit uneven and messy. And I actually preferred the more uneven, messy effect. So I'm coming in and just nudging them around until I'm happy with how they are looking. Now, when you buy the Kiki London crystals, they do come separated. So you'll buy, say, the green pack, for example, and all the sizes are separated. Personally, I've mixed all mine together, but you don't necessarily have to do this. I know some people prefer to have their sizes separate, especially when you're working on natural nails and not only reaching for the smaller size crystals. So it's great that they do come separated, so you have the option if you want to mix them up. I put them all in a pot and mix them up simply because personally for me, whenever I do any kind of crystal designs, I find myself using a mix of sizes. So here is where I decided I wanted to kind of just mess this swell up a little bit. So I'm really moving those crystals around, and as long as you gently move them around in the top coat, it won't disturb them too much. You don't want to move them around too vigorously because this may end up then some of your top coat going on the top of the crystals, which you don't want. Then this is where I thought, yep, I'm happy with my crystal design, so I'm going to pop that in to cure for 60 seconds. And then that is all of our nail art design done. I really liked how these turned out. They were quite different. They got quite a lot going on, but they were really fun to do. So we're now ready to come in and top coat. Now for top coat, I decided I wanted a combination of matte and glossy because that's one of my favorite looks to go for. So I'm going to come in and apply the matte top coat on the ombre nail, the French nail, and the crystal nail. So when it comes to applying the matte top coat on the crystal nail, you want to be super, super careful that you don't get any of that matte top coat on your crystals. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to just use the bottle brush to get as close to the crystals as possible because it's quite an easy crystal swoosh to get around. If you was working around more of a intricate crystal design, you could come in and use your detail brush to get in any areas that your bottle brush is too large to get into. But I found because it was an easy crystal design, we can get around them easily just using the bottle brush. Then on the marble and the full foil now, I'm going to be using the No Wipe Rubber Top Coat because I wanted them to have a glossy finish. And I love the No Wipe Rubber Top Coat for sealing in foils just because it's extra durable. And then I also love it for going over a marble as well because it has a slightly thicker consistency. It evens out any bumpiness that might be there from your marble design. So we're going to come in and apply that as well. And then we're ready to pop these in to cure for 60 seconds because the rubber top coat does require a 60-second cure. And this set really combined lots of my favorite things. I love foils, I love ombres, and I love a set of nails that has a combination of matte and glossy in them. So I really hope you all loved them as much as I do. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, leave us a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. All of the products I've used, as well as a link to the Kiki London website, is in the description box below as well. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.